Have you ever glanced at an economic chart and just thought, this has absolutely nothing to do with my life? Well, today we're going to dive into a totally different way of thinking about economics. It's one that puts actual people, not abstract equations, right at the center of it all. This is all inspired by the book Economics for Real People. Okay, so let's jump right in with a question that I'm pretty sure we've all had at some point. You see these super complex models on the news that are supposed to explain our world, but they just feel so abstract, right? So disconnected from our day-to-day choices and what actually makes us tick. And this is where that disconnect really hits home. I mean, can a mathematical formula truly explain the deep web of faith and culture that sparks a revolution? Can it possibly account for the incredible selflessness of Mother Teresa? What about the pure creative genius of Jimi Hendrix? Or, hey, what about that vacation you took, the one you knew you couldn't afford but you just had to do it anyway? These are the moments where the standard economic rulebook starts to look a little shaky. And that brings us to what's called neoclassical economics. This is the mainstream approach, the stuff you find in most textbooks. It kind of paints a picture of humans as these robotic beings, always calculating how to maximize their utility, which is really just a fancy way of saying they're trying to get the most happiness or satisfaction possible. In this world, people are predictable. But as we know, real life is anything but. This right here, this illustrates the problem perfectly. On one side, you've got real people. We're complex, we're emotional, we're beautifully unpredictable. And on the other side, you've got the humans from the textbook. Robotic, logical equation solvers. There is a massive gap between the messy, amazing reality of our lives and these simplified models. So all of this makes you wonder, right? If the main model feels so out of touch, is there another way to look at economics? An approach that actually starts with people as they really are? Well, there is. And it's called the Austrian School of Economics. It comes at things from a completely different angle. The whole idea is to build economics on a sound human basis. The goal isn't to create these flawless, predictable models. Nope. It's about understanding the world by focusing on the one thing we can be sure of, that people act with a purpose. Now, you're probably hearing that name and thinking, Austrian, that's kind of specific. Does this mean it's just for people in Austria or that it only applies to their economy? Not at all. The name is just a historical thing. It's true, the folks who came up with these ideas were from Austria way back when, but their ideas spread all over the world, especially after many had to flee Europe. So just think of Austrian as where it came from, not where it is today. So, to really get a feel for this human-first way of thinking, we're going to throw out the graphs and formulas for a minute. Instead, let's try a little thought experiment. Think of it as a modern-day Robinson Crusoe story. Okay, so here's the scene. Imagine the winner of a show like Survivor is celebrating. But while he's sleeping it off, the film crew, maybe they've had enough of him, they just pack up and they leave. He wakes up and everything's gone. The cameras, the boats, everyone. He is completely, totally alone. And right then and there, the game is over. The prize money doesn't matter, there's no one to outwit or outplay. He is now face-to-face with the most fundamental economic problem of all, in its rawest form. How do I survive? It's just him against nature. And his situation forces us to ask some really deep questions about economics. Is it something that's just part of being human, or is it just a byproduct of our modern world? If our guy on the island isn't trying to get rich, does economics even apply to him? This whole scenario strips everything away, and it leaves us with one final thing to think about. If that were you, what are the very first choices you would make? And what does that tell us about what economics is really all about?